to cloud. Okay, so this session is going to be also recorded as well. Okay, so what we're looking at today is really and truly why you actually need a job search strategy. And the fact is that most people don't have a job search strategy. They have what I call a resume strategy or a CV strategy. They see a job, they apply for the job, they cross their fingers, and kind of they hope for the best. And in my opinion, that will get you so far, but it's probably, it's not the only way to get hired. So really and truly, if you've not heard of me before, I'm a global career coach. I help people around the world to get hired, and there's two things that I focus on: getting hired and building you as that go-to person for your industry. So basically, in very basic terms, it's building that like, know, and trust factor. So that's what I do. But what I find is that people are very kind of buying into the old school in terms of job search. That is, they are kind of conforming to what they think they should be doing. And when you do this, you limit greatly your chances of actually getting hired because you're only doing one way. Now, I'm not for 1 second saying, if you see a job that you shouldn't apply for that job. If you think that, I'm not saying that at all. But I'm saying to you, you've got to stop being proactive. So most people are reactive. Most people are reactive. They go and look for a job when they need a job. The best way to find a job in reality is when you don't actually need that job. So what I'm trying to say to you is your LinkedIn profile, your resume need to always be in top level kind of condition. They need to be ready to be used as and when they need to. Because if you're not doing that, you're never going to be able to attract those companies to come to you. So that's why, to me, that LinkedIn profile is so key. It is kind of, what I'd say to you is kind of like, see it as your website, see it as in kind of attracting visitors to your website and getting into conversation with people. So as I said to you before, most people are reactive. If you've heard of me, I do not believe in kind of traditional of job search in any shape or form. I kind of detest any CV or resume that starts with I am, 15 years experience, and then kind of lists, the shopping list of all the things that they can do, and then it includes all the key adjectives that you can probably find in a thesaurus. That doesn't get you hired. So I'm really trying to say to you, if you want to get hired, you need to start standing out. Most people blend in. Most people will do the carbon copy CV, the carbon copy LinkedIn profile, and wait. That's what they do. They're just hoping that somebody is going to see you. So what I'm basically trying to say to you is, in reality, you've got to start getting more proactive and really thinking about, well, what could be your job search strategy? Other than just having what everybody does, which is let's ping that to the nearest job. So one thing that you could do is you could be identifying the top companies that you would love to work for. So in some senses, I'm trying to say to you, you need to treat yourself as a business. You need to be proactive, and you also need to be willing to kind of make contact with those key decision makers. Now, I know that some people in this already, but again, I don't think you're doing it in the right way, because a lot of people, or for example, yesterday I had a conversation with a client and he said, okay, in the last month and a half, again, reactive, he needs a job now. I have increased my LinkedIn connections by 1,500. I've been actively kind of, trying to connect with the right people. But the problem again with this approach is that there's no strategy to it. So what I'm trying to say is, what happens after you connect with those people? How do they still know that you exist even a month later? Taken. So if I was working with a client, we would do it in a lot better way. So one of the ways that you could be doing is, again, having that list of companies that you would want to work for, working out the hiring manager, and using what I call the show and tell letter. So it's kind of, let's miss out HR altogether. Let's not get stuck on any job sites with, everybody talks about those keywords. It's kind of like you're obsessed with keywords and ATS machines in terms of working out, is your CV, compatible? you know, that I keep on saying to you, that's just one way to get hired. Really, what you want to be doing is having conversations. It's, you know, in some sense, that's an old school approach. But actually, if you can really show the value of what you can offer and go direct and kind of cut out the middleman, that is a great option for you to consider. But it also means it actually pushes you out of your comfort zone. And because it's, you know, different, and because of that comfort zone, we tend not to do it. And I think you've got to kind of change that approach. That's basically what I'm trying to say to you. So yes, you've got to think in a different way. You've got to be willing to be more proactive, and you've got to be willing to put yourself out there. And also, can I be honest with you, expect rejections. Get over it. Okay, I spent at least 2 years working online to the answer of no, 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 no. It doesn't really matter to me anymore. So it's expected. Get over the fact that people are going to say no, that some people are not going to help you, but in some senses what you're doing is a numbers game. So in order to kind of really get, you know, in some senses leverage, you've got to have a killer LinkedIn profile. It can't be carbon copy. It's what I keep on saying time and time again. So your LinkedIn profile is the bait. Yeah, it's the bait that gets people interested. And you need to be drawing people's attention to this. And then you need to be understanding, okay, if I wanted to kind of identify those companies, who would they be? If I want to increase my network, what is the strategy that I am going to go to achieve that? So again, most people will kind of go you know, cap in hand and go, please, can you give me a job type approach? And again, you're putting all the leverage with the company. Stop doing this. Claim back some kind of, you know, recognize the skills that you offer and kind of claim back what you can offer them. Because again, I've said this before and I'll keep on saying it, you get hired for one reason. The company has a problem. They see you as the solution to that problem. And that's how I work with clients. My job is to take all the guesswork away to help present you as the best possible candidate for that role. But also you've got to be proactive. You've got to take responsibility. You know, I'd love to say that I can do all this for you. You know, I can only go so far. So what I'm trying to say to you is that if I was working with a client, you know, I'll be able to give you, okay, great examples of that, you know, show and tell letter. I'd be able to give you examples of in terms of how we can put a great pitch, you know, towards for a company. So we miss out HR in some senses, but you've also got to do the work. You have got to do the work. You've got to schedule that. When is it going to take place? And you've got to get over the fact that some people are not going to come back to you. Some people are not going to respond to your emails, but it's a numbers game. And the more that you do this, the more successful that you be. So in some senses, I'm saying to you, detach from what you're after. Basically detach from the emotion of what it is. Yeah, and in some senses, I've had to do that. So I kind of do not mind, in some senses, if people say no, because I know that some people will find the value in terms of what I do. And I detach from this. I do no longer take this personally. Yeah, and in some senses, that's what you need to do. So all I'm basically trying to say in this session is that you can do the typical things that people will do, which is, okay, let's network, normally offline. Let's kind of post to job sites, make sure the keywords are in there. That's what most people do. Let's kind of target people that we know. And again, I'm not saying that's wrong. Yes, you should be doing it. But what I'm trying to say to you is that you can get a lot more proactive with your job search strategy. You need to be thinking of yourself as a business. You need to be presenting yourself accordingly, and you need to take risks in some senses. And the risk is being willing to be seen, being willing to show what you offer, and not being scared in some senses, you know, that you're too arrogant to do it this way. It's not. the fact is everybody's buying into this kind of Stepford Wives approach, this conformity that we need to, you kind of wait for the company to decide. Why should you? Yeah, you can definitely reach out to any company if you wanted to. Most people won't because they're scared. Get over that. Just simply get over it and kind of go, okay, I'm going to create a list of target companies that I want to be working for. I'm going to be kind of putting a great pitch together, and obviously I can help you with that. Make sure your foundations are excellent. That's a great tip. You've got to have a great LinkedIn profile. You've got to have a great resume, CV. If you haven't got those things, it's going to backfire. Yeah. Everything needs to be high level. A little bit noisy here. So everything needs to be high level, and again, it's about that ability to treat yourself as a business. So think about what you can be doing. You know, even brainstorm 10 ideas of how I can be kind of more assertive rather than just hoping that things happen. Be clear on the outcome. Like, have really kind of credible KPIs. So a KPI could be that you are sending your application or your resume to a certain number of companies that, you know, per week. It could be, if you want to be more proactive, it could be, okay, I'm going to identify 10 companies and then I'm going to pitch to them why they should actually hire me. And again, you know, if you were doing this in a really clear way, obviously there's going to be more individual attention, and you might be able to say, okay, maybe the maximum I can send in that week is 2 per week. But unless you schedule the time to make this happen, it doesn't happen. Unless you are prepared to go against the norm, it doesn't happen. Yeah, so another great example, and I've got to say this, you know, I will do absolutely everything other than what the standard kind of career coaches out there are doing. Why? Because I am differentiating myself, and I'm not being afraid to actually do that. That's why I'm living in, you know, Spain at the moment. I've got a fantastic view. Come and check it out. Okay, so, you know, I'm not afraid to basically put myself out there and basically say, okay, this is how I work. I don't believe the cookie cutter approach works. I do believe that you need to be proactive. I do believe that you actually need to start creating your own opportunities. Things don't happen. The fact that I'm sitting here now with that lovely trike or whatever it is outside, it doesn't happen by accident. You make things happen. So if you feel that the opportunities aren't there, then make those opportunities happen. Another great way that you can actually start kind of going against the norm, and again, can I be honest with you, most people will not do this. They will go, oh, that's a nice approach, Susan, and they will kind of give me lip service to say, yeah, I can do this. But again, people don't. And the reason, again, is simply because they're scared. They're scared about what other people think. And that approach is basically, okay, building the like, no trust factor, getting visible within your network. So what are you doing to get yourself visible within your own network and not with other people? You know, I was very good, very stupid, well, but I was very good at getting noticed with other career coaches, but they couldn't help me. Yeah, very stupid. Okay, so I've done everything particularly wrong. But what I'm trying to say to you is make sure that you are basically visible to your gatekeepers, people that can hire you. How are you going about doing that? What are you doing to make that happen? Yeah, so one easiest way is, you know, you could kind of get yourself visible on LinkedIn and potentially publish a post. That's a very easy thing that you could potentially do. Yet most people won't do it. Why? Because it comes down to either two things. They don't believe what they've got to offer or what to say is important, and it is. So we can scrub that off straight away. So I would say to even graduates at university has got something worthwhile to say. Okay, so when you tell me that you haven't got something worthwhile to say and you've been doing this job for 20 years, trust me, you have. And you know, the second thing is that you're worried about what other people will think. That's normally what it comes down to. And again, just get over it. If you want to start doing things differently, if you want a different level of job, then you've got to be prepared to put yourself out there and be visible. And if you're not prepared to do that, then you go back to the norm. You go back to the norm of, okay, let's send my little CV and my little application to the nearest job that there is. Surely, you know that you see that there is a better way of doing this. Yeah, because when you get yourself more visible, when you're prepared to put yourself out there, you get opportunities coming to you. You get kind of, hey, why don't you, for example, we think that you would be a great fit for a role. I would recommend that you apply. You know, those things do happen. You get headhunted for those roles. You can actually even potentially even define or make it easier for you to get hired, in terms of it just becomes like, well, you know, they've heard of you before you even go into the interview. Yeah, can you imagine how powerful that is? They see that your name is on that resume, but they've already heard of you before you've even stepped foot through the door. That is incredibly powerful. Anybody can do that, but most people won't, because they don't understand that. And just get over the comfort zone thing. That's why it's stretching. Just all you need to be thinking about is, okay, what could I be talking about? It doesn't need to be a textbook fairy job. It's the type of things that you might be talking about with a colleague. It's the type of things that you might be saying in the pub with a friend. You just need to be prepared to kind of stand out and do that. And when you can, and when you're, can I add another thing, when you're consistent with this, yeah, this is not a one-hit wonder type thing. You need to be consistent with this. That's where it works. It doesn't work if you go, oh, but Sue, I've done 3 blogs and nothing's happened. We're not. It's not about that. It's about, okay, a commitment to the result for the long term. You do it. You can even continue to do this in some senses when you get hired. Yeah. So it doesn't end, but you can be smarter. You don't have to do all the work yourself. So you can look at things, okay, what can I outsource? Do I need to do everything? So I'm hoping that you see that really this is in some senses, a mental shift in some ways. Yeah, it's about understanding that you don't have to conform. You don't have to be the Stepford wife with the traditional kind of, CV and resume, which just talks the basic, boring kind of rubbish that I see time and time again that actually doesn't sell you. Anything that starts off with, I've got 10 years experience I'm a motivated team leader who can motivate your team to achieve, is just fluff. It means nothing. It absolutely means nothing. It's not adding any value. Everybody is doing this. So all I'm trying to say to you is think about how you're presenting yourself. Make sure you're presenting yourself in the best possible way. The higher those level of jobs, the more that you need to put into that role. So I say to people, and a lot of people that I'm speaking to, for example, yesterday I was speaking to a potential client, and he was saying, okay, he works in the financial sector, and he was basically saying, I've done this kind of master's degree, that's what I've been doing. Only a few people, he doesn't know if he's qualified at the moment, but he said only a few people will have this. And I was saying to him, seriously, that is great leverage that you can potentially use to get people interested in who you are. Because again, he was saying this is really now becoming a big requirement. People are going to need this qualification. That's why I've done it. So why are you hiding all this great stuff away? Why are you keeping yourself invisible? Yeah. So as I've said before, and I will continue to say this, when you get hired, it's not about stopping this. It's not about being good within 4 walls. So again, I was speaking with a client that I'm working with, again, funny enough, in the financial sector, and she said to me, you were very much bang on when you said to me in the first, kind of 5 minutes, you've been good, you've been excellent, not good, you've been excellent within the 4 walls of your company. The problem is nobody knows that you exist. Nobody knows you exist. So how do you ever expect to get hired? Yeah. That's what I try and change. But in order to change this, you need to be also willing to kind of embrace that mental shift in terms of what you need to do, and also that ownership as well. So I'm hoping that's been useful. If there's any questions, come and let me know, and maybe type it into this lovely little chat box, okay? If you've not heard of me before, by all means go to, let's have a little look, go to my website, which is the linkedinsuccessacademy.com. Okay, and you can also download my book, which is called Get Companies Chasing You. I suggest you do it. It's free on there rather than pay for on Amazon. And by the way, I'm also creating another book. So if you're on my list, it will be free for a few days in January, and then you need to pay for that. It will be on Amazon from there on. Okay, so another reason to come and join my community as well. All these kind of videos, they are going to be live, and they will be in the group, okay? Any questions, you can find me on LinkedIn. It's Susan Burke, okay? And if you've got any questions, let me know. So I'm just going to stay here for a few seconds. If you've got any questions in terms of what we've talked about, please just pop it down in the chat box and we can talk about it. Otherwise, we can call it a day. Okay, Peter is saying, thank you, Susan, very helpful. Okay, I think we're going to call it a day now. So I will speak to you shortly. Okay, I will reply to you privately. Okay, the clients. Okay, I will, as I said, I will put this on in my LinkedIn group as well. Have a great day, and as always, get noticed, get hired. Take care.